Donald Trump has just put a price on Britain's head, and the bill is 25% tariffs unless Europe agrees to sell him Greenland. Yes, Greenland, and somehow, thanks to Keir Starmer, we're now right in the firing line. In this video, we're going to break down how the special relationship has turned into special punishment, what Trump actually said in his explosive Truth Social post about tariffs and Greenland, why Starmer's love affair with Brussels has dragged Britain into a fight that was never about us, and what 10% rising to 25% tariffs could mean for our jobs, our exports, and our future. Before we continue, please make sure to tap that subscribe button. It's free, it takes a second, and it tells me to keep making more videos just like this for you. Turn on the bells so you don't miss what's coming up next. Alright, let's get into it. So here's the breaking news. Donald Trump has announced a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the United States from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, Great Britain, the Netherlands, and Finland, starting on February 1st, 2026. Then, on June 1st, 2026, that 10% jumps to 25%. Those tariffs stay in place, Trump says, until the United States is allowed to purchase Greenland from Denmark. This isn't a rumor. This isn't sources say. He spelled it all out in a long, very Trump-style statement on Truth Social. Let's pull out the key points. Trump's argument goes like this. The US has subsidized Denmark and other European countries for years by not charging tariffs and by defending them militarily. Now, he says, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. He claims China and Russia both want strategic control of Greenland. Denmark has 2 dog sleds for protection, in other words, can't realistically defend it against major powers. Only the United States, under his leadership, can secure it properly. He calls Greenland a sacred piece of land for American national security. Then comes the crunch. He says, starting on February 1st, 2026, all of the above-mentioned countries will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States. On June 1st, 2026, that 10% will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. In other words, no Greenland deal, no tariff relief. He also points out the US has been trying to acquire Greenland for over 150 years. Many presidents tried and failed, but with modern missile defense systems, the so-called Golden Dome, it is now even more strategically vital that Greenland is inside the US security perimeter. He finishes by saying the US is immediately open to negotiations with Denmark and the other countries who have put so much at risk, but until then, the tariffs stand. Now, whether you think Trump is a genius strategist or completely unhinged, one thing is clear. He is deadly serious about using tariffs as leverage, and this time, we're not watching from the sidelines. We're on the list. So how did Britain, which once dodged Trump's trade fire, end up taking a direct hit? 2 words, Keir Starmer. Under previous governments, Trump actually treated Britain relatively kindly. We'd left the EU, which he hated. He liked the idea of an independent UK outside Brussels, and when he was slapping tariffs on the EU, we often escaped the worst of it. Starmer has taken that goodwill and thrown it in the bin. Instead of locking in a big US-UK trade deal, keeping us clearly aligned with Washington on security, and making sure American companies felt welcome here, he's done the opposite. He has pushed an aggressive online safety act that terrifies US tech firms and smells like censorship, tried to threaten or even ban American-owned platforms like X, and spent his political capital resetting relations with Brussels, not Washington. That flagship US-UK tech deal he proudly announced last year, suspended.
Why? Because the Trump team saw the direction of travel in London. A government that wants to regulate and muzzle US companies, wants to cozy back to the EU, and seems determined to prove itself more European than Atlantic. So when Trump drew up his new tariff list, did we get the old special treatment? Nope. We're right in there with the EU giants, lumped in, no distinction, just Great Britain on the same line as Germany and France. That is not an accident. Now you might say, hang on, do we really want anyone buying Greenland? That sounds insane. Fair question, but let's look at it from a cold, strategic perspective. If Greenland really is a key part of Western missile defense, a crucial location for Arctic shipping routes, and a potential gold mine of rare earth minerals, then somebody's going to try to control it. Would you rather that be China, Russia, or the United States? And if the US, our main security partner, is saying, look, this matters enough that we're willing to put tariffs on our allies to force the issue, maybe, just maybe, grown-up leaders at least have to negotiate, not just laugh it off for domestic political points. You don't have to sell the island tomorrow, you don't have to agree with Trump's every word, but turning your back on America while sprinting into the arms of Brussels has consequences, and we've just been hit with one of them. Let's talk about what 10 to 25% tariffs actually mean for Britain. Think about British cars sold in the US, British machinery, pharmaceuticals, financial services that depend on US-linked trade, food and drink exports. All of that suddenly becomes more expensive in the American market. If the tariff hits 25%, that's £1 in every 4, gone in duties, before your goods even get onto a shelf or into a contract. US buyers will start asking, why should we buy from Britain when we can buy from a country not on Trump's naughty list? Investment decisions follow, factories follow, jobs follow, and we're already struggling with high taxes at home, courtesy of Rachel Reeves, a sluggish economy, a net zero policies driving up energy costs. Now pile US tariffs on top. What do you think that looks like for manufacturers in the Midlands or exporters in the North? Exactly. And then there's the diplomatic humiliation. Trump is effectively saying, for decades America has defended you, subsidized you, and opened our market to you. You've ignored our interests, you've ignored our warnings, you've chased Brussels instead of us. So now you get to find out what that costs. Meanwhile, Starmer's strategy seems to be alienate Washington with censorship laws and tech hostility, alienate voters at home with immigration chaos and endless U-turns, and cling to the EU in the hope they'll save him from his own mess. Spoiler, they won't. So where does this leave Britain? On paper, we're facing at least 10% tariffs from February, staring down the barrel of 25% tariffs in June, and caught in the middle of a Greenland tug-of-war that we didn't start, but now can't escape. In reality, it raises bigger questions. Can we still call it a special relationship when we're being treated like just another EU appendage? Is Starmer's obsession of being Brussels' favourite pupil worth the cost of falling out with the one ally who can actually protect us? And how many more self-inflicted wounds can this government survive before people say, you know what, we've had enough? So I want to know what you think. Do you back Trump's hardball tactics on Greenland? Do you think European leaders, including Starmer, should at least be negotiating instead of sulking? And how do you feel about Britain getting dragged into a tariff war because our government decided Brussels mattered more than Washington? Let me know down in the comments. And before you go, one more time, before we continue, please make sure to tap that subscribe button. It's free, it takes a second, and it tells me to keep making more videos just like this for you. Turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming up next. Because if this Greenland tariff saga escalates, the next move in this game could change Britain's place in the world for years to come.